What I do is I take my high scoring students and I make those my team leaders. I don't tell them that. I just start my groups with those top 8 students. I have one low scoring student on each team and one high scoring student on each team. And what ends up happening is naturally that high scoring student will help that low scoring student, and the groups all tend to move at the same pace throughout the school year. And then everyone else that's in between, I kind of jumble into those groups. I have some students that do get their work done really quick. They're always overachievers, and they just get their work done properly. They get it done fast. So I'm lucky enough, I have a situation where the shop's big enough. There's always extra stuff going on. Or if I have another period where there's a group struggling or a group can't get something done and I need to move forward, I'll take those advanced level students and give them special projects. And then there's some other things that are outside the scope of instruction that I need help with because the facility's so big, where I have a student who does my hazmat inspections every day. I have to do a daily hazmat inspection where we're checking our hazmat room for any violations. They check hazardous waste labels. They check and make sure the lids are on all the equipment. They make sure everything's labeled. MSDS sheets are in place. They check my compressor operation. So I have a handful of students who fit that category where I can give them my hazmat folder and they go in there, they check stuff off, they initial it, they date it. Some of my other advanced students, when they get to that level where they're done ahead of everybody else, they'll run my tool room where they're checking out tools to other students, they're checking out keys. And then sometimes it's just a special project I have on the side where we have a 1971 Chevy pickup that we're restoring, and it's been a long-term project, but every day it's, hey guys, let's bolt that up, let's test fit it, let's grind that, let's cut a hole here, let's sand that down. And it might take 3 or 4 weeks for that one little thing to get done, but they're doing it on their spare time. So they're getting the added skill, and there's not really an assignment attached to it, but they're just honing their skill from the things they've already learned. So when it comes to my DHH, my deaf and hard of hearing students, or my ESL, English as Second Language students, or any other students that fall into that category where they have an IEP or some other designation, I took a close look at the accommodations that are on that list. And I made a decision that I was just going to do that with every class, no matter what. So I will assign seats to students, but I don't dictate if they sit in that chair or that chair. They just have to sit with their group. So that would be an example of preferential seating, right? And I tease them. I say, well, it's my preference, not yours, right? But you can have fun with it. And I find that when I meet all the accommodations on that IEP list, then there's no question. Every student has the opportunity for this accommodation. It kind of takes away the opportunity for someone to challenge you when you just implement it in every class, regardless of whether or not the students require it. And what ends up happening is the students naturally become accustomed to it. And just as a teacher, you just got to make sure that those accommodations aren't holding the entire group back. If you find, maybe a quarter of the class is falling behind, it's 75% moving forward, it's time to move forward. And what I do is those students who do fall behind, I don't have like hard deadlines for my assignments. I tell them, listen, you can come in after school and finish it so I can give you points, go home and finish it and just email me when you're done. I'll look it up and I'll make sure you're done. I'll give you your points. So I also give them extended time. And if they come to me, the last grading period and say, Sevilla, I finished this quiz from the beginning of the school year, in my opinion, I would rather they finish those 2 or 3 things well than not finish anything at all. So that's my philosophy on that. I'd rather teach 2 or 3 things well than 10 things not very good at all. I think the handouts is pretty much following simple instructions, so I don't actually modify the handouts themselves. But what I will do is if there's a student who's struggling or who doesn't understand, I will walk through that handout with that student personally, but I always give a higher level student the opportunity to help that student first. And usually that resolves it. Most of the time when a student is not is looking for an accommodation on a handout, it's because they're just not reading it. And that's my experience. But if there's truly a problem with reading and writing, I'll sit with them and I'll read it to them. And if there's a word they truly don't understand, I have a dictionary in the front table. My front table of the classroom is just a mountain of stuff. There's a dictionary in there, and I use it frequently. And I'll pull that out and I'll read it to that student. And if it's in a classroom setting, I'll stop the entire class, stop, and I'll write the word on the board, and I'll ask the students what their definition of that word is. Then I'll open the dictionary and read that definition to them. And I think that helps, helps them. We kind of slow down. Yeah, it puts us behind pace a little bit, but I think the lesson is, well, everybody who thinks they know what it means, a lot of times they're not right either. And I do that a lot with slang words too. If they're using inappropriate language or slang words in the classroom, I pull out my dictionary.